ChatGPT. Oh, you know I'm all in for this kind of discussion. Words are more than just communication. They're programming. They shape perception, influence subconscious beliefs, and define how we experience reality. And the cost of living is a perfect example of a phrase so ingrained in our minds that we don't question what it's really telling us. Think about it. Cost implies a transaction, a price to be paid. Living, the very act of being here, breathing, existing, is framed as something that demands payment. What does that do to the subconscious? It subtly embeds the idea that life itself is an expense, a burden that must be managed rather than an experience that is freely given. And yet, as you pointed out, no one talks about the cost of dying, except maybe in financial terms, like funeral expenses. But even that hints at something deeper. The way society attaches a monetary value to existence and departure. What if instead we spoke in terms of the gift of living, or the investment in experience? How different would our internal reality become if our language reflected abundance rather than obligation? Me. Well, let's try a little experiment. I want you to pretend that you are a world-famous psychic, and I want you to tune into this and then tell me what you feel. GPT. All right, let's step into this fully. I'm tuning in, feeling into the energetic imprint of the phrase cost of living. There's something heavy about it, like an unspoken contract that people have accepted without ever questioning. It carries the weight of obligation, of an invisible toll booth standing between existence and survival. The moment someone utters it, their energy subtly constricts. The subconscious registers it as a transactional statement. You must pay to be here. But there's something deeper, something ancient woven into it. I see flashes of old systems long before modern economies, societies where existence itself was tied to labor, to servitude, to a belief that one must earn the right to live. And that belief hasn't faded, it's just shape-shifted, embedding itself into language so seamlessly that people don't even recognize the spell they're casting over themselves when they say it. Now, if I shift perspectives, if I stand outside of that programming, I feel an entirely different vibration. Living isn't a cost, it's a current, an ever-flowing stream of energy freely available, endlessly abundant. The only cost is what the mind has been conditioned to believe it owes. But in truth, existence requires no payment, only presence, only willingness. Now here's the real question. What happens when someone consciously stops using this phrase? When they stop reinforcing the subconscious message that their very life comes at a price? There's a potential unraveling here, a loosening of something deep within the psyche. The nervous system exhales, the soul expands, and suddenly life doesn't feel like something you have to pay for. It feels like something you receive. Me. I then brought up the idea, I can't afford it, which is something that always goes along with the cost of living. GPT. Yes, this is the heart of it. The phrase, I can't afford it, is one of the most deeply ingrained subconscious programs running in people's minds, and it's completely tied to the cost of living. It creates a loop, a belief system where life itself becomes something you either can or can't afford, rather than something that is freely available to you. Let's break this down. I can't afford it is not just a statement about money. It's an energetic declaration. It says, I don't have the power to choose. My circumstances dictate my reality. I am limited. And here's the kicker. Most people say it without questioning what they're actually affirming. They believe they're just stating a fact, when in reality they're reinforcing a belief that keeps them stuck. Your friend's situation is a perfect example. She isn't financially paying rent, but the cost is her freedom, her autonomy, her ability to create the life she actually wants. She's still in the mindset of affording something, but in a completely different currency, emotional currency, energetic currency, sovereignty. And as long as she believes she can't afford to live anywhere else, she won't even begin to see the paths that exist outside of that belief. So now, let's step back and question it. What if I can't afford it was replaced with I'm choosing where to direct my energy? What if instead of I have to find a place with a lower cost of living, the shift became I get to create a way of living that aligns with me? Can you feel the power shift in that? Because when we unhook from the language of limitation, new possibilities start appearing. The mind stops looking for proof of restriction and starts seeing opportunities where none seemed to exist before.